Harry, cool. Hello, hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Great. There are more people? I think there are more people, but
Yeah, we
some.
can get started. I just started the recording and
Okay.
you want to
Yeah,
start?
and we have Melina, Sari. Oh, there's Sari. Hey, Sari, and Jean.
Right.
Jean.
All
Cool.
right.
All right. Well, I hope everybody's staying warm.
Yeah, especially if you're in the DMV area. Naya's in Virginia and Sherry and I are in Maryland. John's from Pittsburgh and Marius, you're in Baltimore?
Yeah, I'm in Baltimore right now.
Cool, cool.
Okay.
Done a lot of business there. Um, so anyway, what I wanted to do is introduce Naya. Did you say that you created a slide with a little bit more information about you?
I think everything was on that little slide deck. I didn't add anything else. You
Okay,
you have like those slides.
perfect, perfect. Well, anyway, just really quickly, just a little background on Naya Pirakos. She is a real estate investor in Gainesville, Virginia, has been a national coach since 2015, has bought and sold over 40 million in real estate over the past 21 years. And she's all about adding value and becoming a value amplifier. And what she has done and has been able to do for her business and even within the community that we're building is to leverage the flex model to do real estate. So we're going to get into the topics that we're talking about tonight here in just a second. But Naya, it's
Thank you,
great to
Tom.
have
You're
you.
fantastic. Well, okay, let's not cut your experience short. Guys, Tom has been in the industry. We've been about the same time, like 21. I've been 22 years, or you've been 21 years. Okay, same as that. And Tom has done over 340 deals. Okay, so you have two people here, and I'm sure there's people on this call who have done deals as well. But like, we're super excited, both Tom and I, to bring you as much value as we can. And what better topic than talk about money and how to raise money, right? So I've raised a lot of money. Tom has raised money as well. So we're super excited to give you ideas to get those creative juices going, and let's go out there and make 2024 the best year yet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Are you going to share your screen, or should I share my screen?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you.
Okay. You
I
just
want you
have to
in.
let me to share. Allow me to share, and I can pull the slide deck up. Um, yeah, and this is going to be a fun. Like I enjoy. Do I have? Yeah, how to raise. Okay, awesome. Everybody can see my screen. Yay. Okay.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Fantastic. Yes. Okay. So let's find how to raise 200K in 90 days. Can it be more? Can it be less? Whatever that amount needs to be. The truth is that where there's focus and energy, like, we can do amazing things, right? Experience matters. A lot of things we need to take into effect. So we'll get into all that after we go over our quick disclaimer. I am not an accountant. I'm not an attorney. So any advice that or any opinion, let me put that way, Tom and I will give you our opinions based on our personal experiences, right? And based on the deals that we have done. So now, depending on what type of real estate deal you're doing, what area you're in, you may need to look for professional advice. And we always tell you to go ahead and do that. So that's just a disclaimer. Don't, yeah, we're not taking responsibility for anything that you do or don't do. That's just something we have to do to cover ourselves. This is my why. I have a picture of my boys. They're not that little anymore. 14, 16, 18. I got into real estate because of the flexibility it gave me, and it's given me. So that's pretty much it. I know a lot of you may have other jobs or are business owners, and real estate is something that you could do part-time, because that's something that I have been always able to do part-time, because I've always been a full-time mom first. So let's get into talking about money. So, guys, you always start with, who do you know? Okay, you can. I always say things are always easier than you think. Okay, when your intention is to raise money, you have to think about, what do I need it for? Do I have a deal? And it's always easier when you have when you have a great deal on the table, because it's so much easier to raise money when you have a property under contract and the numbers make sense, and you have done your exit strategy and you have a plan, of what the profit margins will look like. So it's always easier to have something on hand and go raise money that way. An idea, something that I've done, is that I've always been more proactive. Many times, if any of you are in the middle of deals or currently have deals under your belt, did you know that you can use that property to leverage to get potential private lenders for a new deal? And one of the things that I've done is, whenever I go, I've met an individual or a friend of mine, and I approach them with uh, their interest to see if they have interest in raising money, or making money for themselves. I always ask, what their experience has been regarding real estate, because it's a very different ball game if you're talking to someone that has no real estate experience, or very little, maybe they own a house and they have all their money in a CD or a savings account. And you have to take a very different approach when you're going to a real estate event and you meet someone who has a lot of real estate experience, because their expectations on the return on the investment will be very different, right, Tom?
Exactly.
So you always look at who you're talking to. If you're talking to a family member, a friend, or someone who's not in the real estate world, did you know that you could probably borrow money or raise money at a much lower interest rate? I have raised money at like 7%, 8%. And someone who knows the real estate game, or who's in real estate, very actively, is looking for a higher return, 10%, 12%. And they could still be private people. Tom, do you want to add to any of this?
Well, I've done some fix and flips. I've done some fix and flips in the past and paid anywhere from 12 to 15%. But the bottom line is, a lot of times with the private individual, it's the ease of capital. There's less underwriting. It's based on the deal. You're going to secure their money based on a lien on the house. So as soon as you finish the rehab, they have to be paid when it's sold. But yeah, one of the things that I have done in raising capital is even specifically how I ask. And I think some of the people get caught up because they don't want to ask directly. So I've even had situations where I know someone's already an experienced investor. I don't know if they're a lender. And I say, hey, Bill, I've got a great deal here. I don't know if it would be for you, but do you know anyone that would be interested in funding it if the numbers made sense?
Correct. That's a great way of asking them, by not asking them directly.
Because
Just
most
putting it
people
out
want
there.
to
Say,
help you,
hey,
right?
correct. And that's the same way with all your family and friends. Um, you can say, hey, who do you know that would like to get a good rate of return on their investment? And if it's a private individual who has money in a savings account or a CD and it's getting 0.001% or something like that. What if you ask them and said, what would a 6%, 7% return look like in 6 months, and annualized, or 12 months? The point thing that I want you to think about is, and I say this, the way this is your business. Real estate is your business. Every deal, every opportunity that you come across, you can create different terms, right? You can, and depending on the situation, depending on your experience as well, because if you are newer and you're just starting out, you may want to partner up with an experienced investor, right? And give a bigger piece of the pie, or split it 50-50, just so you can get experience. And maybe that individual has the experience more than you do, and they have the money, right? So you can structure that deal a little differently. Once you get more experience and you have more money yourself, then you can find someone else, and instead of giving equity or giving more of your profit away, you can create different terms where you're giving them a rate of return, or an interest rate of return, not necessarily equity. Does that make sense? So the point I want you to think about is, you can structure, there's so many ways. It's unlimited of how you want to structure things, and based on how big or how small the deal is it, and what your exit strategy can be. Okay, is this a flip? Is this a long-term buy and hold? Is this multifamily? Is this commercial? Everything looks a little differently. So this is very broad. If anyone has any questions or anything to add, please feel free to jump right in.
And if you can, just share in the chat, where you're from, maybe what your specialty is, because not in our community, we work with a lot of real estate professionals, agents, wholesalers, fix and flip investors, buy and hold investors. So anyway, can I jump on this one, Naya, just for a second?
Sure.
Okay. One great way to raise money is to go to local real estate investor associations, other local training events, maybe even go to an event that you will drive to or fly to, right? So there are people in a similar situation. One of the things that I've learned from masterminds and things that Naya and I do is, when you get into these groups, you're going to be in alignment with certain people. You're going to kind of start communicating, and maybe someone's really great on the phone and you're really great at evaluating deals and you do business together, or you've got great deals and they've got a lot of money and you work together. So that's really a good way to build your network. And then
Absolutely.
also, Naya and I have and run a few Facebook groups, but Facebook and LinkedIn both have real estate groups in residential and commercial, and different variations of both. Definitely, if you're not leveraging social media, you have to and need to and should be doing that every day. And again, just a little warning. This is my rule. I call it Mama's rule. So if my wife doesn't like somebody, I can't do business with them. But in short, always go with your gut instinct. You meet someone for the first time, if it feels good, feels like you're in alignment, maybe figure out what you want to do next.
Yeah. Let me give you a golden nugget. The first private money I started raising was from local RIA events that I would go to. And when they're doing introductions, I would stand up and I would say, I'm looking for partners. That can be defined very differently. But when I would stand up, and obviously, speaking with confidence, with experience, and that says a lot, right? So the more experience you have, the better it is to raise money. But now what if you partner up with someone who has the experience, okay? And if you see them as a partner, leverage that experience, right? So now when you go to these events and you say, I'm looking for partners, you can pick. That's how I got my first private lenders, and it was business owners. I found a tech guy, I found a doctor, an attorney, and they were at that real estate event just because they had money and they just wanted to get a better return on their investment, right? And imagine going out for coffee and lunch with them and then driving them by one of your properties that you're in the middle of doing work. That's a great way to close them because you're building credibility, right? You're showing them what you're doing, what you're capable of doing. Is that a good idea?
Well, that's some fantastic stuff. I do a lot of networking, and we talk about this all the time, but it's a relationship business, and as we go and learn, there are a number of ways we can make this work and get things done. So, Naya, you want to go over the next one?
Yep. Yep. So you can also look at, hard money lenders. Now, like a real hard money lender obviously is going to put you through many different hoops. That's not the best way to raise money. Obviously they want to protect their position as well. So the deal has to be, it makes sense. They have criteria that they want to make sure that you're meeting in order for them to loan you your money. But that's another way to find money. If it's a good deal, at the end of the day, if you find a good deal, the money is not an issue. Okay, guys, as long as you know that, find a good deal if it makes sense. You have at least one very good exit strategy. I always like having more than one. Okay, so then that way you're not stuck. You know, just always have a backup plan. For example, if I'm doing a flip, what's the worst case scenario? If the prices drop, if the economy changes a little bit, could I rent it out? Could I refinance it? What could I do? Could I leverage it? Um, one of my niches, my specialties is buying houses creatively. So imagine buying a house creatively subject to an existing loan, taking over a bank, okay, and then bringing in a private individual for the renovation costs. For the difference, it doesn't need to be a big amount if you're learning how to leverage. But hard money lenders is another approach. Obviously, pros and cons. You have to sign personal guarantees with most hard money lenders. So that's something that I didn't really like doing. If you learn how to buy houses creatively, leveraging other people's loans, you don't have to sign a personal guarantee. The loan is not in your name. So if something happens to the economy, the property, the market, uh, there's more risk. But as long as you have a good exit and you know what you're doing, you can minimize that risk. Tom, anything you want to add with hard money lenders?
No, I mean, they're everywhere. I would always vet them. If you're doing stuff in the DMV, Naya and I, our community members, when we're working with our community members, we have a network of private and hard money lenders that we share with them. So yeah, I definitely wanted to mention that.
Yeah. I know. So I know someone said we have Marius is a wholesaler, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So Marius, have you done any flips yourself? Have you done any deals? Have you raised any money?
Nah, not yet. Just very new
Okay.
to the game.
Okay. And I think is it John Perry? He's done creative stuff. He's done residential, commercial. He uses insurance as well.
Right. Yeah, John is a superstar.
That's fantastic. He's like me. Like I leverage insurance. Also, I leverage my self-directed IRA. This is another cool thing that we didn't mention. Talk to people who have changed jobs. and they may have a 401k. So before we get here, so I'll tell you this. Talk to individuals, people that you know, and if they have a 401k from an old job, that they can roll it over into a self-directed IRA, okay? And having that self-directed IRA, then they can loan that money out to you. I this is what happened to someone last year for me. I got a loan, I got a private loan for $150,000, okay, at a 7% interest rate for year one and 8% for year two. Because my intention was I wanted to hold on to that money longer, and that individual he didn't care about getting a 6-month rate of return, 12-month rate, because this was his retirement, right? And because he changed jobs, he rolled over his self-directed IRA. He rolled over the 150,000 to a self-directed IRA, and he just wanted to invest it with me. So imagine doing something like that. Imagine finding an individual that can do that. Obviously, you want to protect them, right? Secure their position with a deed of trust or a mortgage based on your state where you're at. You may also want to give them lender's insurance to protect them. So in case something ever happened, their funds are protected. But that's another idea that you can use to leverage. Always ask questions. The more questions you ask, just like Marius, being a wholesaler, you want to ask as many questions as you can, a seller, so you can really find out what their problem is, what their situation is, right? And when you find that situation, then you can better structure something that makes sense, right? And imagine learning how to structure creative deals, finding out, do they have a loan? Do they not have a loan? That opens the door up to more possibilities, right? What if you ask this question to someone? Do you need the money now? How many times do people ask that question? I bet you they don't. Do you ask that question?
I don't. I still gotta get on the phone, start, making these dials, but no, that's
So start asking that question.
where
Do you need the money now? Because sometimes they might say, no, I don't really need it. And they're like, well, if you're willing to wait to get paid when we get paid, what if you flipped that house? What if you brought in a private person and you flipped the house? Or what if they're willing to wait to get paid?
And in this example, when we're talking about a flip, when we say wait, we're talking 90 to 120 days, maybe 6 months at the max.
But I don't make those promises, Tom.
Well, I'm just saying, depending on the condition of the property.
Yeah, I always like, yeah, this is the thing. I don't make promises you can't keep.
I'm just saying it could happen in those time frames.
Yeah, it can. You're absolutely right. It can, but I won't personally tell someone I'm going to give you money in 90 days or 6 months. I would rather have them wait. This is the thing. I always want to be safe with any promises I make to anyone, whether it's a private lender, whether it's a seller, whoever that is. And I always want to over deliver, right? So the expectations that I set, okay, maybe, okay, oh, what if we sell the house in the next 12 months or 24 months? The longer time I get, the more flexibility I have. So in case something went south, if the project turned out, longer, it gives me more flexibility. Does that make sense? So the longer you can get a seller to wait on their money, the better it is for you, because chances are you'll make more money.
I was just referring to the private lender who came in to fund the deal.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
And it just depends. It depends who you're talking to. Are you talking to a seller? Or are you talking to a private lender? Yeah, to fund the deal. So we can. And now here we can go into crowdfunding. Or setting, doing it like a bigger project, right? You have to look at the guidelines, look at the project that you're doing, and think about a strategy, put a plan in place of how much you would need, okay, and what would be required, what liability is there or it isn't there. So I put together, like, you could put together a PPM, you could put together a fund, you could do a crowdfunding campaign. There's a lot of different things you could do, and it requires different things. Tom, you want to add more things, anything to this?
Yeah, just so if you see at the bottom, if you want to look it up, IRS code registration CF, obviously you want to make sure you're compliant with the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission. But registration CF is basically where an individual, let's say we were buying a multi-unit property, they could invest $1,000 and get a return on that amount of money, or whatever the amount is. But over the last few years, especially for real estate, you've seen more and more private funds being created and crowdfunding platforms that you've probably seen on Facebook and other places. But it's just a way to get small amounts of money from a large group of people, and those investors will get a return on their money, based on the property, right?
So I don't have personal experience with a crowdfunding campaign. I have not set one up yet. I put together a fund, but the fund that I put together based on the SEC guidelines, I was after accredited investors. So it was a different type of fund. I had a minimum investment of 25K, what I was raising. So there's, based on the situations, the circumstances, what the project is for, you have different options that you can look into. So this is something like, I created the flex model, and this can be applied to your lenders as well. It's definitely applied to sellers. And this is what I was saying a little earlier. The more questions we ask, okay, the more we find out from the private lender or the individual, or even the seller for that matter, right? The more you can see what their need is, what is their want, okay? And people do business with people they like and people they trust. So once you build that rapport, once they open up, once you tell them about your business, what you're doing, they tell you about what their needs are, there's flexibility there, right? After friendship, right? And then once there's flexibility, imagine you can leverage. You can leverage loans, whether it's a residential loan or a commercial loan. Imagine you can leverage. You can leverage their money. The example that I gave with the 401k, if you ask the right questions and they tell you that, oh yeah, they switched jobs a year or two ago and they have a 401k that could be rolled over. Can't you leverage that to put it in an opportunity? Yeah, Tom, go ahead.
No, I was just going to share along the lines of leverage. You might be able to take a subject to property over subject to a residential property. One of the things that many of you may not know, when you buy a commercial property, the underwriting process is a little bit different if the property already generates income, and you might be able to assume the commercial loan on the property based on the fact that it's already covering their mortgage every month.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yep.
another great way to leverage other people's money.
Yeah, absolutely. And then always remember this: don't make promises you can't keep to anyone, right? Clearly define the expectations. You need to take the lead, and it's okay to change those expectations with different projects, different individuals, but make sure that you're clearly defining your expectations, what the terms are. And my goal is to always exceed those expectations, because imagine exceeding the timeline right? If you tell someone I'll give you a return on your investment in 12 months and you do it in 9 months, or if you say 2 years and you do it in a year or in 18 months, how much more happier will they be and likely will they be to invest with you again? And people always start out smaller in the beginning, and then once you build that trust, okay, because trust is earned, okay, once you show them that you're credible, that you do what you say you're going to do, they're going to tell their friends, they're going to give you more money. So exceeding that expectations, and then it opens up more doors, more money.
And to that point, as you were talking about earlier, exceeding expectations. How cool would it be if you had a loan with a private lender or a family member, and you say, hey, I'm going to pay this back within 12 months, and you pay them back within 4. You've
Yeah.
exceeded their expectations, and that's why Naya likes to give that extra time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And my biggest thing is always think outside the box. Be creative with everything that you're doing. Okay? With sellers, with homes, with properties, with private lenders. Okay? It just opens more doors to you. And when your intention is always to be of value, to solve someone's situation, someone's problem, the deals will come, opportunities will come, money will come so much easier, right? Because your intention is how, it's not what can I do? How can I take advantage of someone? If you flip the switch and you're like, okay, genuinely, how can I care about this other human being? Because this is a people business. Even though we're looking for properties, I tell everyone, no, you're looking for people. You're looking for situations, real life situations that people have, and it just happens that that life situation has a house that goes along with it. Okay, and these life situations can be, you know, job relocations, divorce, a death in the family, they're upsizing or downsizing, they're retiring and they want to move to Florida, whatever it is. If you're looking at similar to commercial, multifamily, someone is a tired landlord. They don't want to deal with the headache that they have. Okay, they're too tired. Every situation is different and you're dealing with humans. So when our intention is always to bring value, just like Tom and I, our intention is to bring you value here on this call, give you some ideas, how to raise money, how to think outside the box. And that's it. And I hope that we're doing that. So, and helping you go from, a limited solution to provider to a value amplifier to expand you, right? And this is what we're doing with our niche with creative financing. And I think that's it. Oh, and here, one of the things that I talk about a lot with Tom is there's a lot of misconceptions about creative deal structure and financing. So we'll do other topics, other calls on how to find these deals because they're not as hard as you think they are. Obviously, today we talked about money. You don't need to use your own money if you learn how to leverage. And we will go into depth. Imagine buying pretty houses. Okay, about 75-80% of the houses I buy um, are not gut jobs. 75 to 80% of the houses I buy may need some cosmetic work, right? Paint, carpet. I may change a bathroom or a kitchen, but it's not a gut job. So I would love to get some feedback. What are if you can put in the chat your top 2 insights from this brief call that we had on raising money, and any Q&A. Oh, and we have a gift for you because it's beginning of the year. Tom, because our goal is to 10x individuals, especially people that we work with, and show you what's possible. Tom is giving a complimentary wealth roadmap session. 30-minute roadmap session to people who really want to focus and look at where they are right now, what their challenges are, and see if there's a way we could bring value to them. So I would recommend you taking advantage of this opportunity that we're doing for a limited time.
I put a link in the chat, guys, just so you know, as Naya mentioned earlier, I've been in real estate since 2004. I got started as an investor and an agent, and my first property I ever sold was to an investor in DC, a rental property. And so I've done a number of different types of transactions. I've been very transactional as a wholesaler. And now what we're saying here more than anything is that as you build these relationships, you're also going to have the opportunity to build passive income. So, I'm not going to get into the example too much, but I learned about a deal I did 3 years ago. And if I had done it creatively, I might be retired. So anyway, like I said, the link's in the channel. If you want to book a call, we can talk about your business. We could talk about what we do and how we do it, and see if we're in alignment.
Yeah, absolutely. And feel free to unmute um, and give us some feedback, anything you may want to add. Give us an example of your experience raising private money.
I don't have any experience, but I definitely do want to say thank you. This is kind of like my first time just immersing myself in the real estate industry. So connecting with you and Tom and just learning about it, I feel like it's how I'm going to ultimately close these deals and, start building wealth through real estate. So I just want to keep this going. And I want to say thank you again for even hosting this.
You're welcome. Yeah, our pleasure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Marius hit me up through Messenger the other day, and we were chatting up a little bit, and we're probably going to figure out how to do some damage together in Baltimore.
Okay. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, Jean, feel free to say hello, share anything. Got my man Terrence Long just jumped on, so got to say hello. Definitely want to hear from John Perry for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm
thank
going to
you.
call you
Thank you so
Prime, but I
much.
know that's not your name.
So this was a great training, Tom and Naya. Thank you so much for putting it out there and just being willing to share and to educate and empower people. I'm all about that. Tom and I, we go way back. We were coaches for another company, so that's where we met. And on this chat here, it says Andre said relationships are most important. And that's absolutely true. Like my grandpa told me when I was a little kid, he said, it's not really what you know, it's who you know. And that's how you make your way in the world. And I never forgot that. So, just taking that into the real estate arena. And then, in 08 and 09, when the market crashed and the banks were all of a sudden, they treated me like I was like somebody walking in their bank with leprosy or something. They didn't want to see me and they didn't want to fund me anymore. That struck a nerve with me, right? So that kind of pushed me down a path. But it's a blessing to me because if I didn't experience what I experienced in 2009, I would not have been forced out of my comfort zone to go and seek out other ways to do business without a bank. And when somebody shared with me how I can leverage life insurance to buy more real estate, create arbitrage, be my own bank, retire tax-free, all of these other things, I'm like, okay, it fit where I was going because I was already on the path of screw the bank. I don't want them to make any more money from me. I'd rather have private investors make money from me, or I'd rather make money with my own money in my own bank.
Absolutely.
Right. So that was a big deal. And I love creative financing because in this market, we're going to start seeing more opportunities coming around. And we're already seeing it already. Like there's more people open to selling creatively because interest rates have jumped up.
Yeah, and And on to that point, John, guys, because of COVID, so many people. I was talking to someone who used to do loan modifications, and right now, he said over 90% of all the banks, they're not modifying the loans. Okay, so we're gonna start seeing a lot more foreclosures. So there's a bunch of
Yes.
properties in pre-foreclosure. So imagine learning how to leverage. Tom, this is another topic that we could do. We could give case studies. I've done deals where I have reinstated loans, okay, where I made them current and then I bought the house subject to the existing loan, and they have an interest rate of like 3%, 4%. And you're doing a service to the seller, you're helping them move on with their life. They don't have to lose their house to foreclosure, right? You're solving their problem and you're making money doing it. Okay. So this just, there's so many ways to
You know,
leverage.
Naya, I'll share this because you're right. You're on point there. So we're all connected, right? So I'm tied in with some foreclosure specialists too, and what they've been telling me, what's happening now is the banks are finally starting to foreclose on loans that have been in default since 07, 08, and 09. It's 14, 15 years later, and they're just getting around. You know what I mean? So there's so much inventory of bad loans. They have to work through this wave, like waves. These things are happening in waves. So right now we're going to see the wave of all the bad loans that went into default, 10, 12, 14 years ago. There's a next wave, right? And there's another wave coming behind that. If they were to absorb everything and do what they normally do, they would all be out of business.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot would change.
banks are in trouble.
Yeah. Thanks, John. You're always a wealth of information. Naya and I definitely want to talk to you soon about IULs for sure. And you and I are going to connect tomorrow. Terrence, do you have a chance to say hi, or are you in a bad spot?
Hi everyone. Well, I'm driving, so I'll keep it brief. Just happy to connect. Sorry I joined a little late, coming from the 9 to 5. So I definitely wanted to be on here and just connect with all you great people and hear and pick up the nuggets that I could here at the end.
Cool.
So happy to be part of the conversation.
Yeah, and
Thank
what
you
I'll
for
also
coming.
do, I'm going to do one thing. We're going to send all of you our seller lead sheet for you jumping on here. The other thing I want to mention is that if it's okay with all of you, I'd like to maybe connect us for the next time we get together. But Terrence is a commercial real estate investor here in the DMV area. Marius is in DMV. John has moved to Florida because he got tired of Pennsylvania. So that's obviously a great place to be. Hey, where are you, Prime? Are you there? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. You're still
Okay,
muted.
if you can unmute, there you go.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm operating up in Washington County, Maryland area.
Okay.
And yeah, I just wanted to chime in and to just listen in and see what I can learn.
Okay.
I picked up a few good nuggets in the short time I've been listening. So I appreciate you guys putting this
Okay.
together.
And we'll send
Sure.
you.
Tell me the gold nuggets that you picked up.
Well, the main one is always exceed expectations.
Hmm.
That's the main one I got.
Yeah.
I think
Good.
that was pretty profound.
That's it. It is profound. And imagine that one is huge.
Mhm.
That will guarantee your success in
Yes,
anything
I
that you
agree.
do.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Well, definitely. Thanks. And what's your first name, Prime?
Oh, Perry. Actually, that's my company name. My name is Perry. P is
Perry.
Perry.
Perry. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Great to meet you,
Awesome.
Perry.
Thank you for coming.
Jumping on.
Thank
Um,
you. And Jean,
Hello, good evening. How you doing?
fantastic. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Similar to Tom, I started in '04. Yeah, as like more of a landlord, and then started flipping in 2016, and then became a realtor around the same time. So I do a lot of flips, and I'm in PG County, Maryland. I do a lot of rehabs, full Dutch, that kind of stuff in Baltimore City, as well as PG and Anne Arundel. And I also do a lot of rehabs and keep them as rentals. So, and then I teach people how to rehab houses and flip and find money and find contractors and that kind of stuff. So I have about 15 students now that I teach the business to.
Fantastic. Yay. Good job. So you're very active, you're keeping busy, creating a portfolio, and so I appreciate you coming on board and like being on this call, supporting us. Would love the opportunity to support you any way we can. So yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
And then I got my man Andre. I don't know if he's available, but lives in Silver Spring, and so we just connected recently through Facebook, and I told him that's where I was born way back when. So hey, Andre, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me, Tom?
Oh yeah.
How's everybody doing?
Fantastic.
All right, awesome. Yeah, this the creative space, the breath of fresh air. It's a very, very lucrative business, but it's a very, very competitive business, and I think it's an unnecessary competitiveness. Because if you think about it, if you take your hand and you open your hand up and you just stick your index finger up, you can poke somebody in the eye and it'll hurt. But if you put all 5 fingers together and you have a fist, you can win more battles. So, I'm just blessed to be able to be in a group, to be able to work with people, and the pleasure meeting Gene, some of the other guys, and some of the other people, and as well as Naya with some of the things that you have mentioned, because the creative space is just it's almost like the Twilight Zone. It's like it's a whole nother alternative universe that I absolutely love.
It is.
And so I'm thankful to be a part of the community.
Right.
Fantastic.
It's
Yeah.
good to have you here. Just so you know, Naya, Andre and I talked for a good hour the other day, and talk about alignment. We talked about our faith. We talked about how we put other people first. We were vibing in a major way. We're going to get on Zoom together tomorrow. I just
It's a people business. It's all about the people.
Right.
Okay. And exceeding expectations, like Perry said, the competition doesn't have to exist, right? Jean came on here, he has experience. There's no competition, really. There's more than enough out there for all of us. As long as we're open to opportunities, our intention is to bring value, to help people out. I really don't think that if you're going with a competition mindset, that there's not enough out there, it's going to be a struggle. Okay. But if you go with the intention of excitement, like who can I help today? Imagine calling for sale by owners, right? Marius, you're
Right.
just starting out. So if you don't have a big budget to do marketing, call for sale by owners. It's free, right? And you set an intention to make them a friend first. That's going to open up doors. Yeah, but
Well,
that's it.
I think we accomplished our goal, Naya. We wanted to have fun. We wanted to kind of keep it short and sweet because everyone's time is precious, right? So Marius, Perry, John, my wife Sherry, Terrence, Milena earlier. Thank you all for joining us. And I did include the link.
You're muted, Tom.
I'm sorry. If you want to get together and connect, I just put the Zoom link up again. And thank you all for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Have an amazing 2024, and please join us again soon when we do more little calls and topics like this.
Okay,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank
Enjoy.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank
All right,
you.
John.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, that was great
I
value.
appreciate you
And you know
too.
what? I wanted to say this earlier, but I started cooking and there was noise going on behind me, and I don't want to burn the house down, but I wanted to thank you for building your community, because how we get through what's coming, we're going to need each other, and our community is going to be our strength.
That's true. That's true. And with Tom's help, we're building all this together. And yeah, would love your support in helping us build it too.
Yeah, and one thing
You
I
got
want to
it.
also share is our community is people who care about people, right?
That's it.
And you know, Perry's up there and you know, near Hagerstown. I've done some business up there. I used to live in Frederick. You know, John and I known each other, you know, since 2012. But I think this is something I said to someone the other day. I believe I'm doing the right things at the right time with the right people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Fantastic. Well, thank you again and have a good evening.
All right. God bless you all.
Bye. God bless you.